Okay, ready? I'll start right now.
Okay, wait, let me zoom into you. Okay, I'll pan into you. I'll pan into you. Okay, ready?
Alright, just keep this whole thing. Don't even cut this out of the video.
Yeah, okay.
Let me go from that side,
You ready?
Yeah.
Welcome to Econ Now, the #1 economics talk show in Canada. Today I will be joined by, I'm an economist by the way, I have a PhD in economics. Today I will be joined by two guests, our first guest being Stephen Harper.
Hello, it's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, get out. Our next guest is the one who's behind the camera, is Justin Trudeau. And today we will be talking about their economic policies. No, just pretend like you know it. You could put a bunch of filler words in there, but just don't be super choppy. Do it again.
You're starting?
If you just keep going, even if you mess up, I'll probably correct you or something. It's all part of the act. So, Mr. Harper, can you give our audience some examples of how your policies have managed to combat Canada's unemployment?
Well, according to my data, around 2008 there was a crash in the credit market. This made loans to purchase cars really expensive, and this decreased the demand for them.
Oh, care to demonstrate that on this diagram, Mr. Harper?
Well, aren't you the economist with the PhD?
Well, aren't you the Prime Minister? Okay,
that's your job, not mine.
To our audience back at home, what happened was that caused, what Mr. Harper's referring to is the 2008 to 2010 automotive crisis. So what he was talking about was the interest rates increased by a lot. So what happened here is that people started buying less, so we got aggregate demand shifting to the left, causing demand-deficient unemployment. See, now the GDP goes from here, and now it's over here. So this is really bad, and what Harper wanted to do was to change that, stop it.
Well, Mr. Fancy Economist, who can play at that game, I'll have you know that the cars were really expensive to make, so it raised costs. And that would shift labor demanded to the left.
Would you care to explain to our audience, rather than sitting there with your big ego, would you care to explain that on this diagram?
That's your job, not mine.
Okay. So what Mr. Prime Minister here was talking about was that the cars themselves were really expensive to make. This shifts labor demand to the left, but here's the problem. See, naturally, the wages would decrease from P1 to P2, but labor unions didn't want this. So you know what happened? Now, this causes real wage unemployment. So rather than the quantity of labor being over here, we have the quantity of labor being over here, which is much lower. This caused real wage unemployment, and everything was messed up until Harper did something about it. So, Mr. President and Prime Minister, so is this Canada, what was your solution to this crisis, as you can see here? I mean, there's so many people unemployed. What'd you do to help solve the automotive crisis?
Well, the part you're leaving out is that I actually sent a $4 billion relief package to the automotive industry. And that would have shifted labor demand to the right and decreased the unemployment gap, as you indicated.
Oh, okay, so here's what happened. This boy Harper right here, he sent $4 billion relief package, so that would shift. Let this be labor demand 2, labor demand 1. This would shift labor demand 2 to the right, since now companies are able to afford more workers at every given wage rate because of his $4 billion relief package. So you know what happens? Labor demand 2 shifts to the right, and so this happens. And now guess what? We have more workers now. Less people are unemployed. This over here is the new quantity of labor. This was the old quantity of labor, because you notice that there's no more real wage unemployment. the new wage rate is above the original one. Mr. Prime Minister, what you said about how there was a credit market crash, that the cars are very expensive to build, don't those problems still persist here? I mean, won't the same automotive crisis happen again if no real changes are made to the system?
Well, there's nothing we can do about the credit market crash. It's always going to affect the automotive industry, whether you like it or not. You can call it cyclical unemployment. It's a natural part of the business cycle. But I told the automotive companies that I was only going to give them the relief packages if and only if they promised to reform their manufacturing processes.
Oh, so they're going to like decrease the costs of their production, shifting labor demand to the right, and they can get more workers?
Exactly.
Oh, that's pretty good. So, we are joined by Trudeau, who's our second guest star here. I hear there's some bad blood going on in between him and Harper. Hopefully this doesn't escalate into some unintended calamities, if you know what I mean. So, what do you have to say for us today, Trudeau?
Right, he's going to let in more Syrians.
Ms. Terafat, can you contact extension 405, Ms. Terafat, 405, please?
Oh, what? Is he going to let in more Syrian refugees?
I don't know what you're trying to say here, Harper. I mean, what are you trying to insinuate? Want to start something?
Think about it. Most of the refugees you let in don't know how to speak English. They don't even have the technical skills to be useful in our Canadian society, since we especially need white-collar workers. After NAFTA was signed, all of our blue-collar jobs went to the Mexicans, so I don't know what the Syrians are going to take. This is a mismatch. This is causing structural unemployment. Think about it.
Well, you see, I'd actually like to argue against that, and that refugees are actually decreasing our structural unemployment. You know, refugees are coming in with high-skilled diplomas, they're coming in with degrees, teachers, lawyers, doctors. You know, these are all people that can contribute to our economy. I mean, they're just displaced. They're well educated, but they're just displaced. And might I add, I'm actually adding $500 million per year for skills training, just for them. You know, can't you see that my policies are actually decreasing our structural unemployment?
So, Trudeau, do you want to draw a diagram for the audience of what your $500 million spending on skills training will do for the natural rate of unemployment?
Gladly.
Hurry up!
Relax. I need to get it right so this man understands.
Hurry up!
Operating here, here's the natural rate of unemployment, and part of it is structural unemployment. With my $500 million per year, I intend to shift LS to the right, bringing it closer to the labor force.
And for our audience who's still doesn't get it, his spending on skills training will create more qualified workers. Okay, where were we?
Excuse the interruption.
Excuse the interruption. Our spending on skills training, which is what Trudeau's doing, he's planning to make more qualified people for the job, increasing labor supply to the right, nearer to labor force. And now, could you please label the natural rate of unemployment at, well, assuming that it's a perfect market. So, this gap over here is now the natural rate of unemployment. You see that? According to Trudeau, he believes that his spending on skills training will decrease the natural rate of unemployment. Let's see if Harper has anything to say about this.
You think you're decreasing the natural rate of unemployment? How can you even say that when you're trying to make employment insurance more accessible to seasonal workers? So what, you're going to let fishermen only work in the summer and then sit there for the rest of the year collecting unemployment benefits? No, I say we make it almost impossible for the unemployed workers to collect the employed insurance benefits. This will incentivize them to look for jobs on their off seasons. Oh. Well, you know what? I've got a graph just for you.
Yeah.
Look right here.
You want to label for the audience the natural rate of unemployment?
Yeah. Watch this, Trudeau. This right here. That is the natural rate of unemployment. See it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's right here.
So what will your policy to make it basically impossible for seasonal workers to get these benefits, what effect will it have on the labor market?
Well, I want to incentivize them to look for jobs on their off seasons. That will in fact shift the labor supply to the right, indicated here. And that would shift the unemployment gap to this little bit here.
So you're decreasing the natural rate of unemployment with this policy. Effectively, you're decreasing the seasonal unemployment caused by seasonal workers not getting jobs in the off seasons. Well, sorry to say it, Harper, but I'm on Trudeau's side with this one. I mean, because of your policy, I'm homeless, and not only am I homeless, I'm broke, because I can't get any unemployment benefits. And you know what else? I'm not making any money off this video. I'm literally like a beggar. And it's all because of you, you filthy wench.
That's quite funny, but sorry to burst your bubble. I mean, I gotta tell you, I'm reducing employment insurance.
Nani?
You see, unlike Harper, I want to make employment insurance more accessible for seasonal workers.
Oh, that's good.
But I want to decrease the employment insurance.
Why you gotta do me like that, man? Why'd you betray me?
Yeah, shut up. Just listen to what I have to say, alright? EI premiums in 2017 will be cut to $1.65 from $1.88 per $100 earned. At least it's not like Harper, who wanted to cut it down to $1.49. Alright? Anyways, it's good to cut unemployment benefits because it incentivizes unemployed people to find jobs earlier. For example, I'd much rather have a job if my income were decreased. If me and Harper can agree on one thing, back me up here, it's that this policy is good for decreasing the frictional, seasonal, and structural unemployment. Basically the natural rate of unemployment.
You know what? You're right. If we decrease the unemployment benefits, people are more likely to find job training that makes them more qualified or find additional jobs to support themselves and improve our economy.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You know, also, you don't have to forego the opportunity cost of providing unemployment benefits to these weak, little, like these people. Under my administration, it is predicted that we'll save around $2 million in premium revenue. We can instead use this money to fund stuff like healthcare, or maybe even job centers and websites, where the unemployed have better access to employment information. Honestly, people these days don't understand.
It's a good thing we found common ground here.
So, Trudeau, could you explain to us your reasoning using that labor market diagram?
Alright, so feeding off of Harper's diagram here, with us decreasing unemployment benefits and thus decreasing frictional unemployment, we incentivize people to look for jobs, thus shifting LS to LS2 to the right. You see, and this also thus decreases the natural rate of unemployment from this large gap to this small gap right here.
And what will your $2 million in premium revenue do to help unemployment?
That's a great question, you see. So by using this $2 million, I can spend this on better training facilities, more training centers, and thus this will also help with the increase with the shift of LS to the right.
Wait, could you also spend the money on employment centers? And
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I can spend on all that once I have the $2 million.
Huh. I can see where you're coming from with that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and by the way, I'm reducing the wait time for unemployment benefits from 2 weeks under the Harper administration to 1 week. So that's good.
You trying to talk smack?
Yeah, I am.
Wanna go, right?
Yeah, I am. Let's go. Let's go.
Welcome to Econ Corner, where the questions of you viewers will be addressed here. Okay, so for our first order of business, we have some letters from our fans. You know, so the first letter is your show is garbage. Why is it airing? From Diana in Scarborough. Well, Diana, I don't appreciate your attitude, so we're gonna go on to the next question. Here's a legit question. So we were talking about frictional unemployment earlier, and Jackson Douglas from the Greater Toronto area asked, what is frictional unemployment? Yeah, we were talking about frictional unemployment earlier in our video. So basically, what frictional unemployment is, it's the unemployment that occurs when people are transitioning in between jobs. Like, for example, I left my job for a plumber to become a teacher. In between that, I'm not employed, so that there in itself causes frictional unemployment. This also involves students transitioning from their school life to the job life, and etc. The third letter from Mary Las Vegas from Aurora. She asked, earlier in your video, you were drawing a diagram showing how Harper's policy solved real wage unemployment. You said that the final wages were higher than your starting wages, but on the diagram you indicated it being lower. So your diagram's wrong. Well, fair point, Mary from Aurora. We'll be correcting that mistake over here. So, we have this is our automotive.
Hey, Mr. Economist, don't forget to label your accents.
Shut up, kid. Automotive job market. We have our quantity of labor. We have our wage rate. And basically what Mr. Harper was saying, he was saying that this is our LF, this is our LS, this is our LD. So what Mr. Harper was saying was that the automotive crisis, it made the labor demand go down, causing this real wage unemployment over here. So we're gonna correct the mistake we made earlier in the video. So what Harper's financial aid policy did was it gave the automotive market a lot more money. They could hire a lot more workers now. This shifts the LD curve really far to the right. It was like $4 billion, isn't it?
Yeah, 4 billion.
400 million or something. Yeah.
4 billion.
Yeah, whatever. It was a lot of money. So they sent a lot of money into the automotive job market, shifting LD from LD1, LD2 finally gets to LD3. Now notice that you know how wages are not sticky upwards, they're sticky downwards, so it doesn't matter. So we have LD3 now, which is higher than our starting LD1, which is where our wage rate was originally defined as. Now our final wage rate now is way higher than that. Our wage is over here, wage 2, wage 1. So this eliminates any real wage unemployment, since now employment is over here, which is much higher than the real wage unemployment effect, where actually our employment was over here. So you notice that this over here was the involuntary unemployment caused by the automotive crisis. Now, since we're at equilibrium point, real wage unemployment is eliminated. See you guys next time. Oh, we're done.